Hey, so I want to go over with you if you watched the introduction paragraph recorded lecture that I have just covered in this unit. I am giving you the follow-up body paragraph that the same anonymous student has written, and I've given this person lots of feedback on it, and I want to present to you what I've told her. So let me read this paragraph to you, and then I'm going to go over what's working and where it could be improved. When you open your Instagram app, you are bombarded with perfectly sculpted bodies, delicious recipes with images of decadent foods, and amazing views of exotic destinations with flawless people perfectly posed. These are just some of the types of posts you will find on Instagram. It makes you wonder, is that real? How do they do that? It all sounds amazing, but can anyone really live up to those expectations? Alex Hearn from The Guardian composed, Instagram is making people miserable. He claims that Instagram influencers portray a phony life, and trying to keep up with the charade is causing them stress, anxiety, and depression. Hearn quotes a post from Scarlett Dixon, an Instagram influencer, as saying, "The best days start off with a smile and positive thoughts, and pancakes, and strawberries, and bottomless tea." Dixon wrote on her Scarlett London Instagram feed under an image of her looking flawless on a freshly baked bed flanked by heart-shaped helium balloons. One of her followers named Nathan tweeted Dixon's post and said, "Fuck off. This is anybody's normal morning. In Instagram is a ridiculous lie factory made to make us all feel inadequate." But what about the one making the post? Gritters argues by saying making Instagram a reliable part of your income is a taxing process, and it can take a serious psychological toll. Many of the 12 influencers I spoke with while researching the story said they felt tied to a static, inauthentic identity. This statement validates Nathan's feelings that Instagram made of fabricated images that are impossible to live up to and inflicts doubt about what our life should look like. So, what I like about this paragraph is the evidence from the outside source about Scarlett Dixon. Everything was quoted just as it was given in the article. Like, I actually went back and checked it. It definitely has Scarlett London written just like this. Like, there's no at, for the handle of the name. It's just Scarlett London, just like this. I like the thoughtfulness, how interesting this paragraph is, because so let me just explain. When Dixon is in the article, and let me just bring up what I'm looking at here in terms of the article itself. So this is the article that the student cited. Instagram is supposed to be friendly, so why is it making people so miserable? And the full title actually needs to be in the student's paper. They realize that she realized she didn't have the title right. It was something else. Instagram is making people miserable. But the title is actually Instagram is supposed to be friendly. So why is it making people so miserable? So she needs to have that full title, and then she never has to mention the full title ever again. She just maybe can shorten it and call it Instagram is supposed to be friendly, just for short, and put that in quotation marks. All of these articles are going to be in quotation marks. They won't be italicized. And then always giving credit to Alex Hearn, who's right here, this person, and just calling him by the last name, never the first name. And then Scarlett Dixon is the primary source, okay? She is the fashion blogger, and this was the image that the student was quoting and describing. And the description was already here. And all of this needs to be in double quotation marks, and then whatever she said would need to be in single quotation marks. So the student just needs to fix that really quick since we're on the subject. So this is really good, but I think we were just missing the second. Where is it? Oh, this is perfect. The student did do it correctly with the double and then the single, and that way we notice that Hearn is couching. He's the secondary source, and Scarlett Dixon is the primary source because she's the one who said it directly. She's the one it came from. This is where the quote came from. So this student did a really good job of doing that quote all the way up to here. And then she sets it up with another evidence. And one thing that we talked about was that this evidence is really interesting. And then we move on so quickly to Gritters, But when you go back to the article, I was thinking, well, maybe we need more evidence actually cited beyond just this, because if you look, we're missing out on some really interesting cause and effect. So, like in the article, this is the language that Nathan gave in reaction to Scarlett Dixon's post. But look at this next part. It says his post, which has garnered more than 111,000 likes, 22 times as many as Dixon's original, and almost 25,000 retweets, prompted a wave of criticism. And there's all these people like just angry about it, and it's this whole ripple effect because everything that goes viral on Instagram, there's a lot of commentary and then people like those, and it just keeps going. And so the cause and effect is really, really interesting, and actually an opportunity for the student to recognize, hey, this is an area I can include more analysis. So I've encouraged the student to quote beyond what this was and just keep going, maybe like up to here. You kind of have to be stylistic about it because the numbers allow you to have some logical conclusions drawn, and you want to bring that incredible insight in, and then kind of bring it back to the base text, which is gritters, which the student did do. She included gritters right after, but it'll change the level because she was having trouble. She admitted with, like, oh, I know I need more analysis, right? Because the only analysis that we have, I mean, this is kind of reportive. There's not a whole lot of analysis, there's just a little bit of the student's voice, more evidence, right? And then here is where we're supposed to have analysis, but it's really, really brief. And that's not what you want. If you want a good paper, you guys need to make sure that you are trying to make sure like you're setting yourself up for lots to say if you're choosing really strong evidence. So here's what I, also wanted to show you guys when you get down to here. This is me trying to set it up as a block quotation. So if you end up with 4 or more lines, you do have to indent it. I don't know if it's like, I can't remember if it's this much of an indentation, but definitely needs to be indented. I think it's just, I think probably like right there. Can't remember if it's, half an inch or a full inch, but I can send you the MLA rules. But just remember that it needs to be indented so that we can see that it's a block quotation. It has to be like this. And then normally you would have double quotation marks first, but it actually gets dropped. And so what I did, because the actual indentation itself looks like, like you're just imagining that the double quotation marks are already surrounding it, but the actual process of indenting symbolizes the same thing, that it is in fact a quote. Then you just need the single quotation marks, and then I copied everything in, and because the sentence keeps going past prompted a wave of criticism, I included editorial brackets around the ellipses to show that let's pretend I'm the student writer. This is me trying to give you an example of how to improve the body paragraph. Then I would put editorial brackets here to indicate that there weren't actual ellipses that the author had created. I put these in because there's more that he actually says, but I'm not interested in quoting the rest of that sentence. So, and then what happens is now you're opening yourself up to lots of possibilities for analysis. So here's some starting language just to get the ideas going for critical thought, because original thinking is just so important when we get to this paper. Here, the author seems to validate Nathan's feelings. And so, that could be this statement, and then, moving forward, like what's the author seeming to validate here? And I'm just giving him credit, Alex Hearn, and she could include all of what she's had there, but to keep going and say, well, the effects of such a post, meaning Dixon's post, are concerning, and explain why, because a lot of what's happening in these articles is about values, right? It's about honesty versus fakeness versus, we're talking about authenticity of character here. And people are trying to not get sucked into things that are fake or a waste of their time. And I think just getting to the heart of the matter, explaining what the ethical concerns are here, looking at it as a cause. This is like such a great cause and effect sort of setup of evidence to analyze. And then coming back and saying, oh yeah, my my essay prompt question is to make sure I'm angling this like a lens paper, and so I have to start with the outside source and come back to Gritter's claim, and maybe go there with Hearn reinforces Gritter's claim that, or and then having a nice conclusive sentence at the end of the body paragraph where you're saying maybe something like, in sum, this helps us better understand what. Like, now that you've synthesized, now that you've analyzed the evidence, and now that you've brought the two back together, um, through some consideration of just integrating the sources to in one paragraph, then what did you learn? Like, what helps us, or what helps you understand this topic on Instagram and influencing other people? Like, what does this bring to light for us, the reader? You're walking us through it, so give us some of that knowledge. Okay, so this is going to lead you into a good conclusion sentence. Again, you don't want to try to, the last thing I want to say is, don't try to plug this into the end of every single body paragraph, right? You don't want formulaic writing. You want to find new ways to say, well, here's what we've kind of learned from, if we stand back and look at everything covered in this body paragraph. And then consider more sources. In addition to, and then you can transition out and say, in addition to Hearn's article, there are other sources that help to challenge the ideas of social media and how different influencers impact individuals on their pages. And then, like, bringing in other sources and having a nice transition out of this body paragraph would be a way to get into the next paragraph, like as a topic sentence. So I hope this was helpful. And if you have questions, let me know. But I am going to send also a link on how to include a block quotation if your evidence is more than 4 lines. And don't forget, you can paraphrase as well if quoting directly, you feel like paraphrasing is a more effective choice. Just try not to dilute the actual evidence with your own ideas. Okay, thanks.